Come on now, bro. All these pound-for-pound fighters are too scared to fight me. They need 200 million to do it.
I got 200 million for you.
I'm fighting Jake Paul.
Pussy.
Talk about fighting the best fighter in the world. You better be taking it serious. You know, that goes to show, how serious he's taking me.
Jake Paul just lost his biggest fight yet. And now one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world is saying he might step in, but there's a massive catch that could change everything. Here's what happened. Jake Paul was supposed to fight Gervonta Davis on November 14th in Miami. This was going to be huge. Netflix was streaming it. 60 million people were expected to watch. But then everything fell apart. Tank Davis got hit with a serious lawsuit from his ex-girlfriend. She's accusing him of battery, kidnapping, and other very serious things. The incident supposedly happened on October 27th. When Paul's company found out, they investigated and quickly canceled the fight. Paul was not happy. He called Davis a walking human piece of garbage and said working with him was an absolute nightmare. He apologized to all the fighters on the undercard and his team who worked hard preparing for this event. Then he made it clear he's ready to fight anyone, saying, anyone, anytime, any place. So now Paul needs a new opponent, and the name everyone's talking about is Terence Crawford.
Out of like the influencer world would be the most lucrative thing for my career, and I think I was the only one who like actually wanted to do it, and actually wanted to go all the way, and that's why I set the goal for myself early to become a world champion, set the bar extremely high.
Crawford just made history. In September, he beat Canelo Alvarez and became the undisputed super middleweight champion. He's now 42 wins, 0 losses. He's the first man ever to be undisputed champion in 3 different weight classes. People consider him one of the 2 best fighters in the entire world, right alongside Alexander Usyk. But here's the crazy part. Crawford used to absolutely hate Jake Paul. Let me explain. When Jake first started boxing, Crawford couldn't stand what he represented. Here was this YouTuber walking into boxing, making millions of dollars, and calling out real fighters who had been grinding their whole lives. He thought it was disrespectful. He called Jake a circus act who was turning boxing into entertainment instead of a real sport. Crawford said, "At first I was against it. Man, this dude, when people were coming at you and your brother negatively, I was like, yeah, they're just using their YouTube status to come in boxing and make all this money. You've got all these boxers doing it their whole life that don't make anything close. I thought it was disrespectful to us in the game." That was Crawford's position. He wanted nothing to do with Jake Paul. But then something changed. Crawford actually went to Puerto Rico and watched Jake fight Ryan Borland in person. Jake knocked Borland out clean. Crawford was there for a convention, but he paid close attention to the fight, and what he saw surprised him. After the fight, Crawford admitted he was wrong about Jake. He said, after watching him and seeing the seriousness he's taking to actually train and put the focus into the sport, I was like, this dude is getting better. This is huge. Crawford is a perfectionist. He's undefeated. He's detail-oriented and ruthless in the ring. For him to look at Jake Paul and admit he's impressed means something real changed in his mind. Crawford kept talking about what he saw. He said, I was sitting there and I was like, this dude can hit with his right hand. He also noticed that Jake is bigger than people realize and not as slow as everyone thinks.
They can punch with that right hand. Like, I seen him, up close in person. Like, dude is big. He's not as slow as people think he is, and he can punch. That's why a lot of people know, like, there's those times where, him and Tyson.
Crawford also realized that Jake isn't trying to skip steps. He's not pretending he's ready to fight the best fighters in the world tomorrow. He's fighting guys who make sense for his level, and he's improving each time. Crawford said, a lot of people just want Jake Paul to fight Alexander Usyk. But no, you have to just work your way up. And when I saw him live, I gained way more respect for him than I already had. This is a massive turnaround from a guy who used to roll his eyes every time Jake's name came up. So when the Tank Davis fight got canceled, Paul's team reached out to Crawford. They wanted him to step in as a replacement. But Crawford said no. Why? Because Crawford already has his own plans. According to reports, Crawford is planning to fight again in March 2026. He's not ready to take a fight on short notice in December. He has his own event lined up. But here's where it gets interesting. On the Club Shay Shay podcast, Crawford was asked a direct question. What would he do if someone offered him $200 million to fight Jake Paul?
Would you fight Jake Paul?
No. Jake doing
He
his
too
thing.
big? He too big?
Yeah, Jake big, but he doing his thing. Man. Let Jake do what
You
Jake.
got 200 million for you.
Crawford didn't hesitate. He said,
I'm fighting Jake Paul. I'm fighting Jake Paul. Come on, Jake. Hey, Logan. Get me. I gotta fight your brother, man.
$200 million would change everything. And that's exactly what Jake Paul can offer. Jake actually said he would for sure fight Terrence 100%. Let's run it. He's not backing down from this challenge at all. Now, you might be thinking this fight makes no sense. Crawford is 42-0. He just beat Canelo Alvarez. He's possibly the most complete boxer of his generation. Why would he fight Jake Paul? Here's why. Crawford has done everything in boxing. He's undisputed in 2 weight classes, he has a perfect record, he has pound-for-pound respect, but there aren't many fights left that truly excite fans or pay him what he deserves. A fight with Jake Paul would break pay-per-view records. It's not about proving anything anymore, it's about getting paid while the moment is fought. Jake's side makes sense too. If he fights Crawford and somehow holds his own or even lasts the full fight, his reputation in boxing skyrockets. Crawford is the real deal. This would be completely different from beating retired MMA fighters or older boxers. Jake's manager, Nikisa Badarian, was asked about Crawford. He said, would Terrence do it? I don't know. He's wired differently. What he means is that Crawford has always cared more about legacy than money, but maybe that's changing. Crawford himself said on the Logan Paul podcast, yes, he's boxing. That's Crawford admitting that Jake is actually a boxer now, not just a YouTuber playing around. So what happens next? Right now, Jake needs an opponent for December. It'll probably be Nate Diaz, even though nobody's really asking for that rematch. Diaz is 40 years old now. His best days are way behind him. He already lost to Jake once badly. Even though Diaz has a big fan base, most people don't want to see this fight again. There are other names being thrown around too. Anthony Joshua's name came up. He's a former heavyweight champion and one of the biggest names in boxing. Joshua simply said, just let me know where and when. That's the kind of confidence only a champion can have. But there's a big problem. Jake is signed to Netflix. Joshua is signed to DAZN. These are competing streaming platforms. Unless they work out a special deal, the fight can't happen. Joshua's promoter Eddie Hearn said without DAZN's consent or blessing or a deal that they are happy with, we wouldn't move forward anyway. Francis Ngannou's name also came up. He's a former UFC heavyweight champion who's now in the PFL, which Jake has a stake in. Ngannou fought Trials Fury in boxing and almost won, then he got knocked out badly by Anthony Joshua. But Ngannou rejected Paul's offer. He said, how can they go from Gervonta Davis to Francis Ngannou? The weight difference and everything, it makes no sense. I'm like, no, bro, come on. Don't disrespect me like that. Jake fired back on Twitter saying, Dear Francis, just say you already got humiliated in boxing and are scared to lose to Jake Paul. I accept that. You are light work, my friend. Ryan Garcia was also contacted, but his promoter, Oscar De La Hoya, shut it down immediately. He said,
let me just tell you why this fight is not going to happen. Ryan Garcia fights for DAZN, and Jake Paul fights on Netflix. I mean, that's pretty much the bottom line. Golden Boy has a contract with DAZN. Ryan Garcia has a contract with Golden Boy. And that's just the way it is. I mean, this is business.
So, where does this leave us? Jake Paul needs an opponent for December. It'll probably be Nate Diaz, even though nobody's really asking for that rematch. But the bigger story is Terence Crawford. 1 year ago, Crawford wouldn't even say Jake's name in a serious boxing conversation. Today, he's saying if the money's right, he'll take the fight. Crawford is planning to fight in March, probably at middleweight, where he can chase another world title. But after that, if Jake keeps winning and the $200 million is real, this fight could actually happen in late 2026. That would be massive. Crawford brings legitimacy, Jake brings the audience and the money. Together, they'd create one of the biggest boxing events in years. Jake also put out a whole new hit list of 8 fighters he wants to face. Besides Crawford, the list includes Canelo Alvarez, who Jake almost fought before but pulled out. It also includes Alexander Usyk, but that would be in MMA, not in boxing. Tommy Fury's on there too. He's the only person who's ever beaten Jake, and Jake wants revenge. The list also has KSI, who fought Jake's brother Logan twice. Alex Pereira, the UFC light heavyweight champion, is on there. Anthony Joshua made the list, and finally Ryan Garcia. These are real names. These aren't washed-up fighters or retired MMA guys. Some of these are actual elite champions. That's a huge change from the Jake Paul we saw a few years ago. Crawford transforming from a hater to a potential opponent proves something important. Jake is changing boxing. Whether you like it or not, he's forcing the sport to pay attention. He's making huge money, he's bringing millions of viewers, and now he's getting respect from one of the best to ever do it. The Tank Davis situation was a disaster, but it opened a door. And that door might lead to Terence Crawford versus Jake Paul, a fight nobody thought would ever be possible.
Who do you think Jake fights next? Crawford or Diaz? Drop your prediction below and subscribe for more updates.